The novel says, the little boy stood with his donkey, which was transporting water from the Nile River to his family from the sons of Abdul Rasul, who work in excavations in the Valley of the Kings in Luxor early last century, after he discovered that the water is falling from the jars that he carries. So he decided to relink them. And when he put one of the jars on the ground, it hit something solid. So he revealed it with his small axe. And it turned out to be a ladder rung. The boy immediately informed the British man who had come close to despair of searching for Tutankhamun's tomb for 5 long years. Howard Carter, who threatened Lord George Carnarvon to stop funding his expedition. Carter immediately went to the place of the staircase and was revealed 16 steps descending to a cemetery. And when Carter put his head, on the 4th of November 1922, inside a niche overlooking the cemetery from the inside, he said, "It is the day of all days." Carter and his team made history with the greatest discoveries ever, making their way into the tomb through quantities of untouched gold treasures unprecedented for a king in the world. At the door of the burial chamber stood 2 life-size wooden statues of King Tutankhamun guarding the chamber, and inside stood the royal tomb of the young King Tutankhamun, the holiest of all time discoveries. King Tut was languishing inside 4 gilded funerary sarcophagi, and he wore the golden mask of death on his face. The mask that weighs 10 kilograms depicts the king as a god carrying the stick and slaughtered, and was polished of gold, lapis lazuli and precious stones in an amazing way in terms of the accuracy and splendor of the design. Even to think that those who polished it like this used modern machines and not the hands of the Egyptians 3,000 years ago or more. The mask is made of pure gold and reaches a height of 54 centimeters and contains more than 9 kilograms of pure gold. King Tut's mask consists of 2 stages or 2 layers of gold that were joined by hammering and is engraved, polished and studded with a number of precious stones. King Tutankhamun and its importance. King Tut ascended the throne at the age of 9. And ruled until his death at age 18 or 19. He was not a major player in the history of pharaonic Egypt. Compared to other pharaohs, almost nothing was known about him before Howard Carter discovered his tomb. And there was little documentation inside his tomb about the life of the king, which made him the most famous king with his funerary holdings and not his history. He was not called King Tutankhamun at birth, but he was named by the priests of Amun, after the king brought them back to the fore and restored worship to the ancient god Amun, whose name means the living image of the god Amun. A new study confirmed the attribution of King Tutankhamun to Akhenaten, who united all the gods into one god, the god Aten, and moved the capital of government to the middle of Upper Egypt at Amarna instead of Thebes and Luxor, and removed the priests of Amun from the facade of rule. Therefore, the young King Tut took over from his father at the age of 9, and died in the prime of his youth at the age of 18, and history has not revealed the death of King Tut and whether he died killed or not. A recent US study says the young king died of a broken femur, while other studies say the king died dead. His assistant high priest I took over the reign raises the suspicions of archaeologists, especially since I married his widow for 2 years, and then took over the second assistant and commander of Tutankhamun's armies, Horemheb, who erased all traces of I and Tutankhamun from all walls and temples. New evidence suggests that the archaeologist who discovered Tutankhamun's tomb in the early 20th century may have taken some of the Egyptian pharaoh's treasures, and some previously unpublished letters have emerged, claiming that Carter may have stolen some belongings from the site. In 2010, the magazine described Der Spiegel German Howard Carter as smuggler of antiquities and revealed a report published by the magazine at the time that Carter was in possession of documentary images of Tutankhamun's tomb discovered in 1922. But he misrepresented them, claiming that the tomb was stolen before its discovery by thieves, with the aim of deceiving the Egyptian Antiquities Authority. However, some sources indicate that some of the pieces came out with the knowledge of the Egyptian government at the time. Carter preferred to take the coffin out of the tomb and place it in the sun, believing that resin, a resin used by ancient Egyptians, might melt and the mummy would separate from the coffin. But it seems that the paraffin wax poured by the ancient embalmers on the linen scrolls led to their adhesion to the mummy, which led to the Dr. Douglas Deere cutting the linen scrolls and forcibly removing the mummy from the coffin. Carter and his team cut off the head from the neck and used a hot knife to separate the skull from the mask. Carter did not mention in his diaries or books that he had cut the mummy, but that the mummy was scanned. The remains of the Golden King still reveal secrets and increase the fascination of the world with this king, whose biography roamed all over thanks to his funerary holdings. When British archaeologists opened the golden sarcophagus of Pharaoh Tutankhamun in 1925, they found themselves face to face with the rigid eyes of the golden mask of death that covered the boy's face. From that moment on, the world fell into the magic of King Tutankhamun's mask. The golden mask, with its majestic erection, still gaze and shimmering gold-colored parts, offers a rare peek into life in ancient Egypt, and speaks to us about the traditions, beliefs, and artistic abilities of its lost civilization. Who was this boy king immortalized in gold? And how did archaeologists find his tomb? And why do some of them think that the mask was intended for someone else? The curse of Tutankhamun's mask. After the tomb was opened, Tutankhamun's mask began to roam around the world's museums, and his travels were not without rumors accusing him of bringing a curse on everyone related to him. According to the American website All That's Interesting. Apart from Carter, who survived the curse, his partner Carnarvon, who discovered the tomb with him, died only shortly after the discovery, from blood poisoning after being bitten by a mosquito. Not only Carnarvon but also other people who entered the cemetery. One died at the age of 35 of kidney failure, another from a fire, and a third hanged himself for fear of being haunted by the curse. Foreign Egyptologists have classified King Tutankhamun's mask as the most expensive and priceless artifact. According to Egyptologist Nicholas Reeves, not only the perfect image of Tutankhamun's tomb, but perhaps the most famous element about ancient Egypt itself. Mulberry mask of Tutankhamun made of two types of gold. Further examination. Research revealed that King Tut's mask was made of two types of gold. His eyes were made of obsidian and quartz, and his eyebrows and eyelids were decorated with lapis lazuli. On his headdress is an icon with the image of a cobra snake, along with the image of an eagle, symbolizing the young king's control of Upper and Lower Egypt. However, Carter's discovery of the tomb was neither the end of Pharaoh Tutankhamun's journey, nor was it the beginning. Is it Tutankhamun's mask or his father's wife Nefertiti? Some have questioned that the mask belonged to Tutankhamun in the first place, and some British Egyptologists have argued that the mask was originally made for Queen Nefertiti, Tutankhamun's stepmother. Some of their arguments were based on the fact that King Tut's mask looked like someone was wearing earrings. However, this theory has been largely refuted by prominent Egyptologists, as earrings were not worn exclusively by women or children in the days of King Tut. Magic spell on his back. On the back of the golden mask is a text written in hieroglyphs, which is a mysterious writing said to be a talisman, the purpose of which is to help the little king cross the next life. The text reads, Anubis, the mummifier, the lord of the divine hall, speaks, when he laid his hands on the coffin of the deceased and armed him with what he needed. Sukkar gathered and Anubis raised him, and Shu supported him. Beautiful face among the gods, your right eye is the night boat, your left eye is the day boat, and your eyebrows are the Tassos. The crown of your head Anubis, the back of your head is Horus. Your fingers are Thoth. The lock of your hair is Ptah Sukkar. It is also believed that this talisman on the back of the mask restores the senses to the deceased pharaoh, which were required for a successful rebirth in the afterlife as a fully functional person. As in life. Please subscribe to the channel to receive everything new.